And you're still watching Prime Morning. Good morning once again. My name is Rosalind Felly. The segment is proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still phone prepare for you. Whatever gadgets you're looking for, whether mobile phones, televisions, CCTV cameras, we say worry no more because we've got you covered. You can actually download the app on your phone to make things very simple, which is the Franco Trading app, or visit our website, which is www.francotradingenterprise.com, and definitely we will serve you. Now, this morning, we are going to take a look at the appreciation of the city. Everybody seems to be excited about it. Now, what is the NDC government doing different that is making the city appreciate so much? Now, in the history of Ghana, this is the first time we are seeing such a significant appreciation within a short period. My name is Rosalind Felly. Now, today we have Isaac Kofi-Ejay, who is joining us to have this conversation. He is a data analyst right here at Multimedia with Joy News, Joy Prime, Joy FM, Joy, all of them. Hi, Isaac. Good morning.
Hello, Rosalind. Good morning.
How are you today?
I am doing great. How about you, please?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. Of course, we'll delve deeper into how the city has appreciated over the last 100 and how many days?
Let's say 140 days, right?
140 days, fantastic. Now, in the studio, I've also been joined by Honorable Fusaini Donko, who is representing the NDC. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great.
Great.
You look lovely.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Oh, wow, I'm blushing at this point. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Let me start off with our newspapers, and then we can delve into our conversation for this morning. So we'll start with the Supreme newspaper, which is our first newspaper, the Supreme. Third Ophir Market edition drives economic empowerment in rural communities. NEIP CEO explores partnerships in Ohio to boost Ghanaian entrepreneurship ecosystem. Awowin, a leadership in crisis as NPAJ faces allegations of illegitimacy and abuse. All right, court holds swearing in of Ablekuma North MCE amid legal challenge by assembly members. Ben Asante proposes an African Energy College at Forum of Oil and Gas in Angola. And the banner headline: tension at Adenta police station as divisional crime officer refuses to proceed on transfer. Wow, that's a story that definitely I would like to know what the outcome will be if one can decide on whether they'll proceed on a transfer or not. We'll definitely get to know it. My next newspaper is the Daily Graphic newspaper, the Daily Graphic. Galamsey, President Mahama highlights progress, challenges, and solutions. Business consumer confidence in economy surges, highest level in 7 years. BOG stays policy rate at 28%. Visa scam rocks embassy in US. Staff creates fraudulent accounts. Employee sacked. Hey, if we are not scared, America, you are going to do fraud there. That'll be it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. The next newspaper is the Economy Times newspaper. The Economy Times. Lending rates decline despite BOG's tight monetary stance. BOG to operationalize Islamic finance in Ghana soon, and Ghana's economy showing strong growth prospects. And this is definitely attributed to the appreciation of the city, and that's what we are going to be discussing this morning. The next newspaper is the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper, the Ghanaian Publisher. NCCE GHS step up child health awareness. I live in Surrey's mind rent-free. Dame returns fire. Okay. Minority fired up for Parliament resumption, and private jet vow hunts Ablakwa. That'll be all for the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. The final newspaper is the Ghanaian Times newspaper, the Ghanaian Times. I'm grateful. Veep thanks Ghanaians for their prayers. And of course, we finally have the Vice President back in Ghana, and she's thankful to Ghanaians for this. Reduction in lorry fares, trotro drivers not in full compliance, and I think earlier we did speak about it, and they said we'll be bringing us a conversation around it with trends, because there's a young lady who made us aware that there's this driver who decided to go back, alight his passengers because he decided not to reduce the transport fares. Ghana. Supports Ghana Traditional Council Task Force to enforce ban on noise making. Gamancha to IGP. And the banner headline reads, AU Day Observation, let's seek justice for our continent. President Mahama rallies colleagues. And that'll be all for all the newspapers this morning. Honorable Ebenezer Nate has joined us as well. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Rosalind.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
We were mixed last week.
I wasn't well. I had a bad flu. I think that we are in flu season, eh?
Almost.
I can't.
Yeah, almost in flu season, yeah.
Okay. So I was invited about a month ago.
And you had a flu, right?
Yeah.
I remember.
I hope you are well.
We are recovering. I'm still speaking not too well, but I'm okay.
I thought, as usual, you have picked your bag and then this time around, not Paris, but to probably maybe Afghanistan.
Hey,
or
assembly. Don't worry.
I've set a CCTV camera on you. Monitor.
Don't worry.
Monitor your movement.
I'll not be traveling anytime soon, so it's fine.
But you have to invite me to your church service.
You are invited.
That's one thing I always like.
I'll call you.
I can see that.
I'll call you. We'll talk about that.
Church, you don't joke with.
No,
it.
I don't joke with my church. Yeah.
The only thing that you're not good at is you don't know how to dance in church. Because when I see your status, I can see that we find it very difficult when dancing in church. But when you're having your own party, that's when you know how to dance.
What appointment is that? I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, this morning we are going to be talking about the appreciation of the city. And like I said earlier, Isaac Ofieje is here to tell us more about how the city has appreciated. Now, earlier he did share some information with me, and I'll just quickly talk about it. Now, in 2009, we saw a decline of the city, 7.69% decline. 2013, that's negative 4.21, that's decline. And 2017, a negative 2.82%. In 2021, there was an appreciation, that's 1.90%. And in 2025, we are seeing a 19.39% appreciation. Kofi, take over.
Well, Rosalind, I mean, the CD is actually on a magical run, and that is what you just ran us through. And the data you had was the first 130 days of every president since we did redenomination in 2007. And what you are seeing is that if we are to put this on the screen, so what you see is that unprecedented appreciation rate in the local currency that we are seeing in the second stanza of President, Mahama. And last week, before we ended the trading week, the cedi, the dollar was trading around 10 cedis, 50 pesos. Bank of Ghana ended around 10 cedis, 95 pesos. This morning, before I came on air, I was checking on Bloomberg, and the cedi is starting strong on a good note, around 10 cedis, 85 pesos. And this for us looks very, very magical, because we all didn't project. We all didn't foresee, the city coming this strong, especially considering the magnitude of appreciation, which according to the Bank of Ghana, since the beginning of the year, the cedi has gone up against the dollar more than 20%. And for us, that is very significant. We are trying to understand what is really going on. Because even on social media, there is that, who should we give the glory to? Who deserves the crown of appreciation? But one thing we need to understand is that this is a government under an IMF program. And it is not surprising to see some of these indicators performing so well, because in previous programs, especially getting to the dying members of the program, what you see is that economic indicators begin to perform really well. And we are not surprised that the cedi is also taking the same shape as it saw in the 16th IMF program. But, internally, there are so many things that are currently going on well, which we believe that is setting a very good environment for the city to thrive well. And if you look at the data pack that the Bank of Ghana put out, Friday before we ended the week, investor confidence, just like you, mentioned in one of the newspapers, is out of the roof now, more than 102. This is the first time we are seeing this. But, we've been around the hundreds before during the COVID period, around 102. But this time around, investor confidence index is really high, not just on investors. Both business and consumer confidence, all very high, and everything, coming into the good health of the city. We've been trying to understand, looking at the data pack that the Bank of Ghana actually issued, and what we can see is that almost all the economic indicators are really, really performing well. If you go to our import side and export as well, for the first time in a long time, our trade surplus is really huge. This is not the first time we're having trade surplus. We've been having it over the years, but the magnitude of the surplus has really given the city some form of shelter against the dollar. We also have to understand that globally, the dollar is performing, and according to Bloomberg, the dollar has actually, fell since the beginning of the year by some 7%. This is the lowest we are seeing since 2023. But the question is, the dollar, it's not only Ghana that trades in dollars. If you go to Nigeria, the Naira isn't really performing well like the cedi. And this is where, the conversation comes in and we start talking about, what is happening in the local space, that, domestic factor really pushing the cedi upwards. And if you can go to these factors, what you can see is that the numbers have really, really improved in terms of cocoa exports, for instance. And I've always said that cocoa is the backbone of the Ghanaian economy. And so anytime you see cocoa cough, the Ghanaian economy will catch a cold. But for the first time in a long time, the first 4 months of the year, we are seeing significant numbers in cocoa export. Just look at what you see on the screens in 3 years, 2023 to 2025. What is happening in 2025 is very unprecedented in a very long time, where we are seeing cocoa revenues in the first 4 months of the year jumping from what we had, let's say about $500 million last year. Now we are talking about almost $2 billion. And I can say on authority, depending on based on the data that we have, that what we've had from cocoa in the first 4 months is almost the same as what we had in the entire year of 2024, where we got about 1.9 billion. We are not done with the year. We are not even done with the second quarter, and we've been able to record some 1.84 billion dollars. Now, if you go on to other tangents, you can talk about the gold.
Before you continue, I just want us to talk briefly about the cocoa. Now, if I take a look at what's on the screen right now, in 2024, it was what?
1.25.
1.25. And in 2023,
1.25, 2024, somewhere $579 million.
Right, so there was a huge decline.
A huge decline.
Right.
As a result of galamsey activities, we saw smuggling where, more than 150,000 tons of cocoa was smuggled out of the country. We saw the diseases affecting the bad weather conditions. But the most important factor that really affected cocoa around 2024 was illegal mining. And this was a trade-off that we got, where we got, somewhere almost less than $1 billion from cocoa. And this year, the factors have not changed. Production is still low, but what we are saying is that because prices rallied last year, where a ton of cocoa went as high as $11,000, this gave Ghana the chance to price our cocoa very high. So although we are producing still very low, we are able to get more from the less we even export. So that is the reason why we are seeing the numbers going up, not because production has gone up, but simply because cocoa prices are now very high, and Ghana is taking advantage of that.
Okay, all right. So it's not about something different the government is doing?
No, not at all. The data we are seeing is strictly because of the price. And because if you look at last year, for instance, when we were doing the forward sales, we're getting between $2,000 to $3,000 per ton. Now, when the price went as high as $10,000, it gave Ghana the chance to bid for more. Now, we can talk about 5,000, 6,000, 1,000 per ton. Now, I mean, if you look at the numbers, what you see is that although we are not doing much of forward sales this year, we are selling on a spot price, although cocoa prices have dropped below 10,000, they are relatively higher than what we saw in 2023, giving the government the chance to cash in, especially in the first 4 months.
So the layman out there might not really understand what you're saying and will still say that, okay, if you're telling us that it's because of the price on the market, the world market, that's why we are seeing this, but not really what the government is doing, then how is it that in 2023 we didn't see this much?
We have to understand that in 2024 and let's say 2024, that is where
let's say 2024,
where our export actually dropped. It's because we locked in the price around 3,000 to 2,000, and prices went as high as 10,000 on the global scale. That means that whatever that was happening in the world market, we couldn't take advantage of that because we had pre-contract that we had sold the cocoa in advance around $2,000 to $3,000 per ton. Now you sell the cocoa, and the cocoa went as high as $10,000. Other people that were taking advantage of that, and we could not. And this year, what we can see is that we are not getting the syndicated loan, which means that government now has the chance to sell on the spot, which means that as the quantum of cocoa we sell on the spot price has now increased, which means if price goes to 10,000, if price goes to 6,000 or 8,000, we can take advantage of that compared to last year where we locked in the price around a very low price, around let's say $2,000 to $3,000 per ton, whilst prices rose as high as 10,000 and we couldn't take advantage of it.
Kofi, then again, the layman out there will ask this question. If the government then did lock the prices and this government is not locking the price, then this government is doing something right. Is this it?
Well, I mean, we should understand that Cocoa Board is an independent body, and they really wanted to do syndicated loan. Usually, syndicated loan is around September, so it should have been done last year. But because last year we locked in the price, we gave people the assurance that we were going to supply them cocoa beans, and we couldn't do that. It made them lose confidence in our cocoa sector, where we went to them and we said, the previous administration went to them and said that they wanted some $1.5 billion as cocoa syndicated loan. And they told them that, look, just by trading with you last year, we lost close to $1.4 billion. So if you want to trade with us, we are going to give you the loan at a relatively higher interest or coupon rate. And the government said, no, we cannot do that because of the current situation we are in. That is the reason why we could not do the forward sale agreement, and we had to come back into our domestic space to start thinking about how to buy the cocoa using other means and also selling on the spot price, Rosalie.
All right, please continue with your analysis.
I mean, we were talking about gold, and for me, we've spoken about cocoa a lot, but this time around, gold is doing something very magical in the space where gold exports in the first 4 months of 2025 has reached $5.24 billion. Now, Rosalie, what you see is that if you compare the entire exports in the first 4 months of 2024, it was around $5.81 billion. That was total export in the first 4 months of 2024. That same figure, or almost that same figure, is being had just for gold in the first 4 months of 2024, which means that now Bank of Ghana has more supply of dollars to be able to meet the demand. So although dollar is falling on the global scale, what we have been able to check and we can confirm is that supply of dollars, not just in the black market, but also in the central bank, has increased. And the central bank is able to come in and intervene. And one thing that Bank of Ghana isn't doing, and that possibly some are saying could sustain the stability of the city, is that Bank of Ghana is now not burning its reserves to keep the city afloat, but rather depending on some of the inflows we are seeing. We understand that remittances, for instance, we complain about Ghanaians traveling outside, but I can tell you on authority that if you look at the sub-Saharan countries, Ghana is the second highest receiver of remittances after Nigeria, which gets about over $20 billion every year. And per the Bank of Ghana data, we are seeing more than $7 billion worth of remittances flowed into Ghana last year. You look at the first 4 months of 2025, about $1.7 billion has already come in, and that is giving Bank of Ghana the needed supply to meet demand. And one thing about basic economics is that when supply meets demand, what you see is that price doesn't go up really high. And we should note that dollar is like any commodity. Its price can go up, and that is the value of the exchange rate we pay. And so if now we are seeing supply, exceeding demand, because one, people are afraid that their dollars will lose value, so they are coming into the market to sell them. All of these things pushing supply. But one thing we can tell you is that Ghana's export values have actually skyrocketed, where total exports in the first 4 months of the year, compare what we are seeing the previous year, it has always been around some $5.5 billion. But in 2025, you see, an outlier where we are talking about 9.33 billion in just the first 4 months of 2025. So definitely a lot is actually, going on well for the Bank of Ghana, where they're able to get more supply. We'll come to the gold, because sometimes I've always said that the only backbone of the Ghanaian economy in terms of the things we export is cocoa. Why? Because we're able to get more than 90% of whatever we export. But in terms of gold, the picture is always different. We can talk of high gold exports, but it may not be able to support the city stability. Why? Because sometimes the amount that stays in the country, the amount that the big gold firms, surrender to the Bank of Ghana, usually it's around 10%. And that's usually very low, not enough for the Bank of Ghana to get enough supply to meet the demand. So I want us to look at this chart that will tell you over the years how we have struggled to even get more of our own gold export.
Kofi, before you continue, just a little one here. So you are saying that we have money to export 5.24 billion worth of gold, right?
Gold export, yes, it's around 5.24 billion.
Yes, 5.24 billion.
In the first 4 months of 2025.
In the first 4 months. Is this gold reserved by the previous government, or is gold that it's being generated now? How is it happening?
I mean, it's gold that is, we have to understand that reserves are different from gold exports.
Okay.
Reserves are money, our own gold that Bank of Ghana is keeping in its chest on behalf of the country, right? And gold export is the total volume of gold, total volume of, or value of gold exported out of the country, either from, small-scale miners or from large-scale, miners. And what we are seeing is that, look at this red line. This is the amount of gold we export out of the country almost every year. We are tracking this data from 2014. From between 2014 and 2015, Rosalie, what you see is that the blue line is the amount of gold that stays in the country. Red line, amount of gold, the value of gold that is exported. Blue line is the value of gold that goes into the coffers of the Bank of Ghana to support the city. And I have said that, could this be that government actually saw this chart and they decided to introduce the gold board? Because you can see a big difference between how much we export as a country and how much stays in the country to support the city. Where in 2024, 2025, you can almost see, some asymptotical movement where what we exported was almost the same as what the mining companies surrendered to the Bank of Ghana to keep. But right from 2016 to 2024, the picture has been different where, we export more gold, but less stays in the country. Let's take a year like 2023, where we exported more than almost close to $7 billion worth of gold in 2023. Now, Rosalind, see how much stayed in the country. It was less than $200 million. You exported $6.6 billion worth of gold out of the country, but the total amount that stayed in the country in terms of liquidity or in terms of forex to support the Bank of Ghana's actions was less than $200 million. So that tells you that we talk beautifully about gold export, but that is not the real picture. Gold export may be high, but city may stay low because almost all the gold that is exported out of the country stays outside the country, and the money we get from this gold export, only a few comes into the Bank of Ghana's coffers to support the health of the city. And possibly that's the reason why the current administration has decided to do gold board, where they say, if you look at the small-scale sector, they are eyeing about $1 billion worth of gold exports almost every month. And so if government is able to export this in its own name and is able to get the forex and gives it to Bank of Ghana, that should be a form of, a boosting to the city, where they want to get away from the old picture where we see the numbers, very beautiful, $11 billion worth of gold exported. But in true sense, the total amount that stays in the country for the Bank of Ghana to use to support the city is usually peanuts. And that is where most people have been saying that, look, if gold board is really going to work the way the picture has been painted, we simply pray that it shouldn't end up like cocoa board, where we saw the same picture with cocoa, where we saw that if we are able to export our own cocoa and we are able to nationalize it, we can get the inflows to support the city. But over the years, we've seen how cocoa board has been turned into where now cocoa board is now, riddled in debt, racking up debt, and they are not even able to perform their own functions, where bringing in dollars has been a problem, where syndicated loans have actually shrunk over the years. But if gold board is able to work, this could be, a piece, the piece that will actually, the last piece in the puzzle that maybe we will be looking for. Because we have seen this data, and what we can tell you is that in terms of gold export, what we get as a country is peanuts.
All right, so now taking a look at this, we have the gold board. Is it the reason why we are seeing the appreciation in the city?
I can tell you on authority, depending on the data that we have analyzed, that gold board is not the reason why the city is appreciating. Gold board itself is not fully operational now. In terms of the license they'll give out to companies to buy the gold, it's not operational. It's not fully operational now. But one thing we can also tell you is that we don't know if gold board is operating behind the scenes through PMMC, because PMMC is the one responsible for buying gold from small-scale miners. Okay. And so if we are seeing PMMC exporting more gold and giving it to the Bank of Ghana, if there's any data to support that, then we can confidently say that gold board through PMMC is really helping. But the gold board we know as an establishment, what we can say is that there is not enough data to support that claim that gold board has been the main reason why the city is really performing. Okay. It's one of the factors. But one thing we can tell you is that one loophole that Bank of Ghana has blocked and is really giving it more supply of dollars is remittances, where between 2020 and 2023, remittances in terms of how much Bank of Ghana itself was able to track versus how much World Bank tracked, there was a difference of almost $9 billion that we could not account for. This current governor, when he came to office, he performed the last quarter of 2024 an audit service, and he said, I want to block this hole. So if they've been able to seal that hole and more dollars flowing through the remittance space, then we are saying that could be one of the big factors. And the fact that investor confidence is high. John Dramani Mahama, president, says that drill, baby, drill. Everybody come and drill in the Ghanaian economy because we want our crude oil to be drilled. What we saw under the previous administration was that we could not get more from our oil. And disappointing, if you look at all the key, export earners in terms of forex, it is only oil that has taken a nosedive, definitely because of the world prices and also because we did not get more of the exploratory companies to come in the previous administration.
Okay.
Dr. Mani Mahama is saying that, there's more oil to be drilled. And one thing we can say is that there's investor confidence and people are now investing in the Ghanaian economy.
All right, Kofi,
and that
thank
is the
you
kind
so
of
much.
positive sentiment that has kept the CD afloat at the moment.
Fantastic. Now, talking about that, we are realizing that Bank of Ghana is actually doing some sort of magic then because of what you just said, right?
Well, I don't have to use the word magic, but one thing we can say is
the blocking of the remittances by the current governor of Bank of Ghana is one of the, it's actually the major reason why we are seeing the city appreciate.
Absolutely.
So as of now, the biggest question that people at home will be asking is, who can we attribute this city appreciation to? The current government or the previous government?
One thing that the former president said was that if your fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And how did we come into a good fundamentals? It was through an IMF program. Who initiated the IMF program? It was the previous administration. So what we will say is that this did not, we just didn't wake up to see this. It's been years of continuous, consolidation of our own gains. So we cannot attribute it to one government, But one thing we will say is that in the first 135 days of this current administration, we are seeing economic indicators improve in a very unprecedented manner.
You just said that the governor of the Bank of Ghana, because he blocked remittances, and that is why we are seeing the appreciation of the
major reasons why
one of the major reasons. And so I'm just asking that question for the general public out there, because else they'll be asking the questions at home.
I mean,
just a question, you know, because of what you said, that due to the blockage of the remittances by the current governor of the Bank of Ghana is one of the major reasons why we are seeing this. Now, if we say this, then how are we attributing it?
That's what I'm saying, that I mean, sometimes you can have very good, inflow of dollars, but when the fundamentals are weak, these things will affect the cedi rates or the exchange rate. So we are saying that you cannot attribute it to just one administration. It's been years of an IMF program. We shouldn't lose fact of the fact that it's been the IMF program that has kept this economy afloat. In the instance where we had balance of payment issues, it was the IMF that actually helped. Remember that the IMF program is not just there to give us money, but there to build confidence in the Ghanaian economy. Even before this administration took office, the IMF had projected that Ghana was even going to come to the international capital market in the next 2 years. We were on board to actually issue our own local bonds again, and certain things were working right. But things have been expedited when we've seen this administration. And one thing we can say is that when there's a new government, there's more confidence. And that is why we can say that the confidence that we saw in the IMF program has actually been catalyzed as a result of the new government we have. And we are saying that the exchange rate situation could be maintained because Bank of Ghana now has a full grasp of what it takes to actually keep the cedi afloat. We have said that the natural level of the cedi around this time should be around 9 cedis, 50 pesos. And so we are hoping that maybe we'll get there, and when we get there, the conversation should be around how we should consolidate the game. But in terms of the glory game, I would say that it's been continuous years of hard work from both the previous administration and the current government that has made it possible for us to be at where we are now.
All right. Thank you so much, Kofi, coming back into the studio. Nana Yalsapo has also joined. Good morning, Nana.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you so much for coming in this morning.
I overheard Eben praising your steps in the church, and of course.
He hasn't been to my church yet.
Why are you watching your...
So, since he hasn't been to my church, he's talking about it. Anyway, Kofi, intermittently we'll be coming to you. So, for now, we are in the studio, but intermittently we'll ask you a few questions when the need arises.
Are we able to deal into some of the issues?
Yes, we will. But before then, let's have Honorable Hussaini
there have been a lot of contradictions which we need to deal with.
Honorable Hussaini first, because he's been here for a long time. So, Honorable, Kofi has given us the breakdown as to why we are seeing the appreciation of the city.
Okay, I think let me say good morning to your cherished viewers, and good morning to my co-panelists. I think this is the first time I'm meeting them.
Right.
Sapo and then Honorable as well. Nice meeting you. I think I saw Kofi struggling a bit. Because, I understand he wouldn't want to get himself into some controversies and the headlines.
He didn't struggle at all. That's my Isaac Kofi, aka Joy News.
No, you see, facts are facts. Let's try to be a bit straightforward when it comes to data and issue. Kofi says he doesn't have some form of data from the gold board yet. I can supply him with one. And gold board, on behalf of Bank of Ghana through PMMC, has done a lot of gold export for the country this first quarter.
But Honorable, before you continue, there is nothing called PMMC again.
Yes.
Let's just establish that.
All right, Nana, you let Honorable make his point.
Yes, I just want to...
So once the act was accepted in Parliament, PMMC was gone. It is now gold board.
Okay.
That is what we should accept. So I don't know the bit about gold board is not functional, gold board is not working. Please, gold board has a functioning board now. It has a CEO, and they are already in motion, working. CEO. Yes, but it has a board now. Once the board approves, that's it. But the acting CEO was working even before the board. Parliament even actually approved the gold board as an entity that took over from PMMC. And everything that gold board does is for and on behalf of Bank of Ghana and the people of Ghana. So if you look at the data, I can share with your producers who can easily share with you. If you look at the data as we have now, let's go through the numbers. Just the same time last year, the same first quarter last year, the gold trade we had was in kilograms. We did 656 in kilograms. That was what we did.
If I can get the data, please send it to the producer so that we can all see it. If you share it to the producer will be able to project it for everybody at home to see it as well, because we want to deal with the facts.
That will help a lot.
So have you seen the producer's name? Her name is Sheila.
Sheila.
Or you can look for Joy Prime.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes. And you can share it with her so that we can actually... Anybody of you also have data that you want to share with the producer?
Yep, I got it now.
Nana? And Eben, data you want to share? Okay.
Eben has not got any data.
All right, so Honorable.
Yeah, so as I said, in terms of monetary value, we had 304,726,761.
Okay.
That was monetary value of the gold that we exported. So, like he's saying, what came into the country from the gold that we exported on behalf of government, that was PMMC then, was this value. As I speak to you now, what we have now is 897,602,696, as compared to the 9 million we did, the 300 million we did the same time. So if by 2024 first quarter we were doing 300,000, and now we are doing $897,000, how do you see the government is doing nothing? Or this amount of dollars cannot cause any change or cannot cushion even the Bank of Ghana? I don't know if you understand me. So he was just a bit shy away of trying to just accept the fact. I said, maybe he doesn't have this data.
All right, let me find out from Kofi. Kofi is here. He hasn't left at all. Kofi, any response to that?
Well, so first of all, Rosla, I would like to respond to operationalization of gold board.
Okay.
We never said gold board doesn't exist or it's not operational. We are talking about the licenses, and they are aware that there's been postponement in terms of issuance of licenses for some entities to buy gold on behalf of gold board. That is what I was trying to talk about.
Right.
And in terms of the numbers he is churning out, if you are able to look at the country's demand for imports, and you actually find the percentage of our demand, what you will see that even though there is some sort of improvement, but you cannot attribute it to gold board solely. So in my presentation, one thing I made clear was that this is actually a cocktail of factors.
Right.
One, I started with the dollar falling on the global scale by 7%. Internally, Bank of Ghana has also now been able to block the loopholes in the remittances. Gold exports has actually gone up. And I showed the data depicting that because of the gap in gold exports versus how much stays in the country, that is why the current administration maybe saw the data and decided to introduce gold board for more to stay in the country.
Okay.
And we made a very categorical statement that we do not have enough data. The key word is enough data to prove that gold board is the sole reason why the CD is at where it is. We are never saying that gold board has not contributed to the stability of the city. Of course, you can never, take away the contribution of gold in terms of where we've come at the moment, because this is a country that is the second highest producer of gold. And one thing we are seeing in the global scale is that people are now ditching the dollars for gold. So how come we are not taking advantage? So I want to make it clear that we've never said gold board is not operational.
Right.
What we are talking about is the issuance of licenses and the fact that we do not have enough data to prove that gold board is the sole contributor to the kind of appreciation, because the numbers he's mentioning, in fact, if you do the math, you realize that this is just peanuts when you compare it to the total export, the value of export that we have seen in the country.
All right, thank you so much.
Can I do a quick one? So when he's talking about the issuance of license, which of the licenses are we dealing with here? Is it the trading license? If you are talking about the trade licenses, I just want him to respond. Then I could do a follow-up. I just want to do a follow-up.
It's your time. It's not
Take note.
You know the trade note.
Take note.
It is a live show.
No, it's a live show.
You can write it,
But
and
it's
then when
still
it
there.
gets
It's part of the
So that we just know which licenses he's talking about, so that it helps me in even taking my
He will
note.
answer that very soon. So Kofi will come back to you
Absolutely.
for you to answer that very soon. Eben?
No.
Oh, you're not done. Okay, please continue. So maybe 2 more minutes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I think aside even the gold board,
Yeah.
look at the cocoa issue as well. He clearly stated that somebody decided to sell upfront, which resulted in the losses when even the price went up.
They locked the price.
Yes.
Okay.
They hedged the price.
You see, leadership is always not about even the acts and policies and programs as they claim you are putting in place, but effective leadership alone, even being truthful and honest to investors, can even engineer some of these positive reactions you are seeing. When people can trust your decisions and know that, oh, as for these people, when I give them my money, I will get my product back. They don't fear to give you your money. So that alone, that this government can be transparent enough to say, listen, let's do things right. This time around, we are declaring everything that we have. How sure are we that even the amount of cocoa that was being declared to us in those days was even the right tonnage? How sure were we? So, a lot
But
of...
then how sure are we that what you're also declaring is the right tonnage?
At least it's gaining profit, it's making us get more for the country.
Okay. But from what he said, it's not about the right tonnage, but he's saying that because the prices were locked, that is why.
That is why I'm also asking you, even the little left, if we had decided to say we are under declaring, could you have known? So how sure are we that they were actually even declaring what was there fully? How come the governor then couldn't block the foreign remittances? How come a CMI is able to do that now? Couldn't it have been done? You see, those are some of the basic questions we should be asking ourselves. Governance is about being truthful and transparent. You see, the accounts have an adage that, if I can speak to you, the dear man, dear no, yamfa sika man so on fanto ho. Amande kura wedi, na se jito o mami. So if somebody can spend what is meant for you, that maybe somebody gives to him to bring to you, how do you go and give him something to keep for you?
Okay.
So that was the kind of government we had that can even spend COVID money that was meant for Ghanaians on our behalf. Take this money, go use it to save Ghanaians during COVID. They spent it. How do we trust him to keep the money that he mobilized to spend on us?
All right, Honorable Fuseni. Let me go to Honorable Ebenezer Nate. Your time is here now. I know you've been itching to speak.
Oh, Rosalind, thank you very much. And let me say good morning to our viewers and good morning to my prodigal brother and also Honorable Fuseni Donko. I've been normally listening to him on the Kumasi station, the Peace FM station in Kumasi. And I know how... Hello FM, yes, how vigorous it is. And as a former DC, I realized that he has been in the in the village for long. So let them bring him to Accra. So now he's in Accra as a deputy national service director. So I understand they have to let the people.
That's diabolic.
Rosalind.
I don't even know what. I'm lost for words.
Yeah, man.
Hey, your rubber is
We'll put a ban on anything he buys from the village.
Rosalind.
Yes.
Me sitting here, if the dollar is 1 cedi to a dollar, I'll be very grateful. I'll be grateful in the sense that most of the things that we do and we trade in this country depend largely on dollars compared to other foreign currencies. That's why recently nobody was sharing, how do you call it? UK for pounds, but rather selling dollars. All because
Mischief.
Oh, I'm not saying. All because most of our business men and women who go to Dubai, China, and all those things change their currencies into dollar, and then when they get to wherever they are, they can also change into currency. There are some countries that honestly, when you get there, when you want to change dollar, you can't. For a place like Denmark, I traveled to Denmark 2 years ago, and I have to bring my dollars back. The only thing I have to do is to call.
Why did you have a forex bureau?
You have to go to the bank, but they don't deal with dollar. They do
they don't do that open forex bureau.
So unless you go and change it into their currency in the bank, and even the procedure in which you pass through before the money will be changed to you, you'll be frustrated. So you can see that in one way or the other, it helps the country to grow. In our country, it's different. Whatever you do, even go to East Legon right now and see an apartment you wanted to buy, it will quote in dollars. So we always, all the time, have challenges when it comes to dollar issue. So for me, if dollar is 1 cedi, I'll be grateful because I'm planning to travel in a month or two. So, and when I require for the ticket, it's very expensive. Now, if the dollar is 1 cedi, I can even buy for 2 years and put it down. The point I am making is that, yes, in as much that the dollar is down, the question that most of us keep on asking, what has contributed to the decline of the dollar as of today? I have asked and I have listened to people. I have not been able to get a very strong conviction that yes, 5 months in President John Mahama's administration, this is what policies that he has been put in place and has been able to reduce the dollar rate for us. I have not been able to convince, simply because I have also heard I'm not an economist, I don't want to go into, but I've heard other people say, look, yes, the dollar is down as a result of certain issue that is happening. Somebody will say that, yes, there's an issue between US and China. And if you go to the international world, look, there are a lot of countries that today, in fact, I've heard that about, is it 11 or 12 countries have decided not even to be trading in dollars, all because of the attitude of Trump. So in one way or the other, it will benefit other countries as well. So if you get that and you're attributing it to, policies, we have done this and we have done that, I keep on saying that, look, what policy has been put in place by this current administration? You talk about
But you know, Bloomberg actually did say that the cedi is currently the best performing currency in the world. So they didn't really talk about the dollar, but they spoke about the cedi being the best performing. So it means that even though, yes, the whole rift between the US and other countries could be a contributing factor, we can't also deny that the cedi is performing very well.
That is why I asked that. What has contributed to it? And I'm yet to be convinced that, yes, we put A, B, C, D measures, just as Kofi rightly said, that Bank of Ghana have decided that, look, we are not going to do this and this and this and this. What results have we gained from it? As a result of it, this is what we have been able to get. So be it. We talk about good. Yes, just as Honorable and Anaya have said, It's a change of name from PMSC to Gold Board. So the administrative structure is already there. It's a matter of changing the CEO and bringing another CEO there. Since Sami Jemfi took office as Gold Board CEO.
Acting CEO.
Acting CEO, but for this acting is just a name that's just put there.
Once
sitting here is
but once he hasn't been confirmed, let's just say as.
So can you ask for 4 years?
No, he'll be confirmed. But I mean, for now, let's just say it's national television.
So
yeah.
All acting CEOs and deputy acting CEOs. You assume office somewhere in February, March. I stand to be corrected. So from March, or let's say February.
February, I think it's
February, so March, April, we are in May. 3 months. So 3 months, what measures did he put in place? How many Galamsey people we have been able to arrest and or get their gold from them? In fact, just as he said about the registration of the gold trade, they increased, in fact, they have extended the timeline to next month, 21st of something. Has then been an operation of what they claim to say that if you have gold, come and deposit at your place, you cannot travel with gold, you cannot. Are those measures put in place? If all those measures have been put in place, I can give a credit to him that yes, indeed, per what you have done, then you have been able to achieve an aim on objectives of the institute. But currently, as I'm speaking with you, which other institutions deal with gold for the country? It's the same Gold Board now, PMS now changed to Gold Board. It's the same administration. So for me, I don't think that, yes, indeed, nothing much has been done. On the issue of cocoa.
So what do you think is the reason why we are seeing an appreciation?
I've said, one of the things personally I have heard, some economists, some professors have said that, look, one is because the government is not spending.
Okay.
Which some ministers are even complaining about, that up to today, 1 peso has not been given to them to run their ministries.
Okay.
2, contractors are not being paid.
Okay.
And it is a fact that since this government came, no contractor has been paid. So if you are not spending, if I have 10,000 cedis in my account and I don't spend, what does that mean? It's still there.
And the city will be appreciated so much, up to 19%.
But if you are not spending and you are just keeping your money, what will happen to it?
Okay.
You are not spending, you are not paying contractors, you are not doing anything. Go and ask any ministry or department of agencies, how much has the government given, the Ministry of Finance given to them up to date?
Okay.
Nothing has been done.
And then what else do you think again? So not spending, contractors not being paid, and what else?
So for me, I think that's what I think that has contributed. If government starts spending, because look, we have major projects in this country. If government started, look, even those that they supply them food for secondary school, are not being paid. Not school feeding. After school feeding, it's almost kind of question. And you can never bet. I'm talking about those who supply food for the secondary schools and all those things. They are not being paid. We are here. We are being told that, look, we are going to be paying first-time university students. They are not being paid. So if all government started expending, then government will see that, yes, indeed, what we are getting, we are putting in there. But for me, as I said, if dollar today is 1 cedi,
you'll be happy.
Your next travel, I'll buy the ticket for you.
No, take it to maybe 7 cedis and buy it.
No, I want it to be 2
All right, so Kofi, I want to find out from you with regards to what Honorable said, that he has heard that it could be because government is not spending, contractors are not being paid. That is the reason why we are seeing an appreciation in the city. How true is this?
I mean, before we even started this whole analysis, we made it clear that this is actually a cocktail of factors. It means it's not one factor actually driving the city. So many things coming together to actually make the city very strong. And he said that, government is not spending. For that, we can confirm that that is the case. And one thing we understand is that if you do basic economics, when government is not spending, one thing it checks is inflation. And when inflation is very high, one thing it goes with is very high, exchange rate. And so once there is no liquidity in the system for people to even chase after dollars, that tells you that that kind of, check is also done. And with the global factors, very, very important. But many have said that Ghana is actually doing the right things now at the right time, where global, factors giving very fertile grounds for the city to thrive, because not just external, but both domestic and external, we are doing things right for the city to gain some form of shelter. But on the side of expenditure, one thing we have always complained about is not just using monetary policy tools to chase inflation or to bring down the exchange rate, but both fiscal and monetary policy must work hand in hand. And this current administration have been very, very particular, especially the finance minister himself has been very particular about expenditure and government cutting its costs according to its size, not spending, above its line and all of that. That, for us, is also one of the key factors bringing down the dollar, because expenditure isn't really high. That will also mean that there is low liquidity in the system for people to start chasing after dollars. But once you begin liquidity starting to come into the Ghanaian economy again, then, everybody is an economic agent. People will be asking the question, where do I invest my money and all of that? That is the reason why Bank of Ghana itself decided to bring on board the gold coin, so that when people have cedis, and even though they may not have confidence in the cedi and they may be looking for alternative means of investment, they may not look at the dollar, but rather be looking at the gold coin as a means of investment, so the cedi can get some form of respite against the dollar. So both factors, part of the domain, or the range of factors we are looking at in terms of what has really helped the cedi to actually gain this form of grounds against the dollar.
All right, Kofi, thank you so much. Nana,
my license question.
I think Nana wanted to find out with regards to the license. What was your question again?
So he was talking about the fact that Gold Board had not started issuing licenses, and so he will not be able to attribute the gold,
the appreciation of the city to it. Okay.
And I wanted to know what sort of license he was talking about.
License? Yeah. It's a license and actually buying gold to even sell to people.
You are talking about the trade license.
The trade license. And what we understand is that, the first interview Summit MP had on Joy.
So let him.
Individual trade, private.
Yes,
individual trade.
Exactly. Business. Not license for Gold Board to operate. No.
Yes.
That's not what we are talking about. Everybody knows that the board has been inaugurated and all of that. But one thing we are saying is that it's individual license to actually trade. On PM Express, Sammy Jemfi was very categorical. He said that if you were holding PMMC license at that point in time, we have the story on my jaw online, you can read it. It was not valid. That actually sent some form of, uncertainty in the market. And then they came back to say that, look, we know you have old PMMC license. Let us extend it for you. Turn that license into the new Gold Board license. They realized that a lot of people were not coming on board, and so that license duration, the grace period has been extended. That is what we are talking about. That even if you look at the number of, dealers who have to come on board for Gold Board to actually take the form and shape that it is really supposed to take, we've not reached there yet. And so it will be early days to attribute a significant component of the cedi appreciation to Gold Board. That is what we are saying. We are not saying that Gold Board has not contributed,
All right,
but it's part of the cocktail of factors.
Okay.
Thank you so now, and there's a quick response to that.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a lawyer.
Don't forget that you have just about 5 minutes to make your point, though. Obianya 5 into the
What can I say that crap?
When a company is formed, I know that they have what they call pre-incorporation activities. Now, when Gold Board was set to be formed, there were activities that they undertook before it was incorporated. You understand me? So when you are making or doing an analysis of Gold Board, you ought to be able to bring all of those activities that were done before its incorporation into it being incorporated. That is one. Number two, there was no gap.
I understand. Can you come back in?
There was no gap in between PMMC and Gold Board. No gap was created. Yeah. Now, what Gold Board did was that, all right, since we are not going to allow you use the old purchase and export licenses to work, if you are a gold dealer or you are a miner, small-scale miner, bring whatever you have to Gold Board. We are now the sole buyers, traders, exporters of Gold Board. They paid before the bill was actually ascended to and became an act, they put in that enforcement and became the sole buyer. So you will notice that, yes, we don't want you to go and export. You will not be allowed. You will not be allowed to sell. But within that space, bring it and we would buy. And that was the same point, the same time when he had proposed, because now it has been accepted, proposed the 20% purchase of the gold from the international bigger mining firms. Though there was no gap that was created, so nothing was lost. And whatever accumulations that were done, nobody, I have not heard anybody say it is just to that of, or should be attributed to only Gold Board. But what we ought to understand is that you can have an accumulation of the product and it will be a waste on your shelves. What do you do with the accumulations? Of course, PMMC at the time was having a license just as any other ordinary or private trader. The only difference between PMMC and the other purchase and export licenses was that PMMC was the only assayer. You understand? And so you need to go through PMMC to be able to export. But now they have taken control. And before even election 2024, some of us had stated that for Ghana to be able to deal with the issues of Forex and deal with the issues of Galamsey, there should be a deliberate political will and policy to take absolute control. And I choose my words carefully. Absolute control of the gold market. Now, if you're able to take absolute control of the gold market, you are not only going to build your reserve, but then you are also able to trade as a government and bring in the inflows directly.
And you think that's what Gold Board is doing?
And that is what Gold Board is doing.
Okay.
Now, you see, people talk about the fact that there is nothing about this gold, and just as some of the political commentators will say. Okay? I mean,
No, I don't think that's what people say. No, that one there.
Well, maybe that is my interpretation of what the commentaries they pass. But when you have been able to build a gold reserve at the central bank, what it does is to boost investor confidence, because the gold reserve becomes a form of an insurance and an assurance that in as much as we are borrowing money from you or your money is with us and we are working with it, don't worry. When it becomes critical, we have gold reserve.
That's what Kofi said. Kofi said the same.
Oh no, I'm not referring. I'm done with Kofi's own.
No, but I mean what you are saying. He said the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to break it down for a better understanding. So the gold reserve becomes an insurance for, and you see, when there is an investor confidence in your economy, it adds up to every single step towards stabilizing your economy. When your economy is stabilized, that is where you can now put in measures to grow it. If you do not have a stabilized economy, you cannot grow. Over the years, I mean, Kofi was talking about IMF. I think I put a note down. He says building investor confidence, blah, blah, blah.
Well, you want to ask him some questions?
No, and he was talking about IMF.
Yeah.
And my question...
Your question to him is that...
we have been to IMF 17, 18 times.
Kofi will answer that one, because he's the best person to answer that question.
Just...
So please, Kofi,
rhetorical.
Answer that question for me, please.
I cannot attribute where we are going to or where we are now to the work of IMF. No, personally, I will not do that. Well, we've been to IMF 17, 18 times. Yeah. Have we been to IMF and have seen this significant improvement? No.
So what will
this is due to Ghana's own fiscal discipline that they are implementing. You are talking about contractors not being paid. In May, when my own brother, Anta, was your friend.
Which of the May? So this year or last year?
Oh, last year, 2024.
2024, okay.
When my own brother, Anta, was finance minister, the Chamber of Contractors came out to say that they have not been paid over a certain period. Did we see that reflecting in the improvement of our economy? No. So if contractors are not being paid, I think ATO is just, and the ATO Forson and the Bank of Ghana, what was his name, Johnson, am I right?
Same, man.
They're just being smart. Now, why? See, some of these deals or contracts are quoted in dollars. Now, if we are able to manage the situation to beat the dollar rate down into a single digit, it is the government that gains. And you see how smartly they came over the weekend to say that they are now going to push in for the payment of contractors after, even though the auditors have not been able to submit blah, blah. You see, they are only being smart because they want to harness the benefits.
Brother, it's called prudent economic management.
The economy we are in. So let's do. See, we have 1 minute.
Yeah.
We have what you're talking about policy. What policy they have brought in. Sometimes we don't have to do politics with it. We have what we call the cash reserve ratio. When we are talking about the cash reserve ratios, we are talking about the money that is you put at the bank or the central bank, the percentage of it which the bank is supposed to hold in actual liquidity. You understand? There has been a review of that. It means that you cannot just go put the money in the bank and immediately want to. And now they have introduced the fact that if you're making those deposits in forex, in dollars, it's going to be kept in dollars.
So when you're withdrawing, you have to withdraw in cedis.
All of this contribute to boosting and improving our economy. Now what we are dealing with is stability. What we should be talking about is the measures that are being put in place to sustain.
Let me ask Kofi the question that you asked. You asked a question. You said that we've been to IMF 17 times, but after being to IMF 17 times, we still never saw the cedi appreciate this much. And so we cannot attribute the cedi's appreciation to the IMF program, Kofi. That's what Nana said.
Well, again, in fact, I agree with him that this is a time we should be talking about how to consolidate gains, and maybe not who should be given the glory. But on the bit of the IMF, I disagree a bit because we also, again, we did not say that the IMF is the reason why we are at the point where we are. We said that, or I said that the IMF has set a better environment for all of these things we are experiencing to actually come to fruition. In fact, we should not forget that, at a point we all forgot that we are even under an IMF program. And there are targets in the IMF program. And this government is, as far as I'm concerned, they are still working with the targets that we have in the IMF program. And one thing we are saying is that this is an economy that about 2 or 3 years ago, its import cover was less than 1 month. This is an economy that about 2 or 3 years ago had not more than, $6 billion or $7 billion worth of reserves. And it's because of the IMF program that has actually helped us to build the confidence we have. And we have to understand that this current government, in terms of what we are seeing now, has actually established better investor confidence. It's the IMF program. The IMF program is one big factor that we cannot take out of this conversation. And he made mention of the economy not performing, or we are not seeing this kind of appreciation when an IMF program is running. That statement, there is enough data to prove that in all the 16 IMF programs we've done, there has never been an IMF program that after the period, we've not seen the cedi perform well against the dollar. The question has always been about sustainability. And before we even started this conversation, we showed you a chart of why this year's appreciation is unprecedented. Rosalie, we did that, right?
Right.
Where we checked the data from 2007 since redenomination to 2025. And we have said that if you look at Mohammed's first 135 days, if you can put that chart on the screen, I'll be very happy. This is the best we have seen. In 135 days, we have seen the cedi gone up against the dollar by more than 19%. we have never seen it under any government since, we actually started, we actually started, redenomination. And so you can confidently say that this is something that we are seeing that we have not even seen before. Now, what we are saying is that, you can say that the IMF program is not the main factor. But what I'm saying is that it's the IMF program that has actually given us the environment for all of these factors to actually come into fruition.
Listen, was it part of the IMF conditionality?
That what?
To build our gold reserve?
No. Yes,
was it part of
it's part of the conditionalities to build reserves.
Yes.
And we have to also let our viewers understand
that whether gold, whether
IMF is purely concerned about revenue mobilization.
So what other reserve are you talking about?
Gentlemen, please.
Are you talking about
this
oil?
Is Ghana. We deal in our reserves mostly gold, coal, oil. So if they say reserve and we are building gold reserve, we are building reserve.
I'm saying that. And my question, we've been to IMF 17
It doesn't matter because that is why this time around. When we went for a second negotiation, they didn't allow it.
Discussion.
But they said that look, measures being put place by the previous government.
Let's deal with the matter.
He said you went recently, they were not allowed because they said measures being put by previous administration is good for this government to continue. That's what they don't extend it.
Focus on revenue mobilization.
IMF
wastage.
That's the chart we have.
That's the chart we are looking for, and it's on the screen right now.
This year's appreciation is unprecedented. We are looking at the first 135.
No, we are not talking about yes. We all appreciate it's unprecedented.
Hold on.
But the point is that let us have the elements. Oh, that's not your own way. No, what are you talking about?
It's time to speak. I plead with you. No,
he spoke for over
let's have some
15 minutes with his data before.
Rosalind, you know that when he comes on Mondays, I'm the head.
Gentlemen.
So if he does that, I'll suspend him. Allow the person to flow.
Coffee, please, make your point.
That's why I say bring my flatbread. You are refusing to bring my flatbread. I don't know where he is.
Coffee, please, on the floor.
I don't think that there's any economist in this country or overseas that you speak to and will not mention the IMF in where we have come, the progress we've chalked so far. But of course, in our domestic space, there are new policies that we are seeing that we have not seen. Like the gold board, right? We are seeing the gold board for the first time. And then also we are seeing a governor who comes into office and for the first time, his focus is on how to get more from remittances. Some of these new things have actually helped us to come to the point where we are. But it will be disingenuous on anybody's side to discount the impact that the IMF program has given this economy. In terms of even helping us to get debt restructuring agreements, we would have been in a difficult situation with all of these reserves if we had not even restructured our debt through the IMF program. And of course, you understand that if you look at the IMF program and the structure of our debt restructuring, 2023 to 2025 are the breathing space years. From 2026 to 2027 to 2028 are the years that our debt maturities and our debt servicing obligations will be mounting. So it will not be fair to say that the IMF program hasn't been one of the key factors. It has actually been the fertile ground for some of these new domestic policies that the current government has introduced to actually, come into fruition.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Very grateful.
Rosalind,
so yes,
I think Kofi has taken all our time today. But let's all be sincere. You see, we easily let our brothers off the hook because we like treating them with kids' glove. Our brothers were in the forefront, screaming on top of their voice. Russia, Ukraine is causing the cedi depreciation. COVID is causing the cedi depreciation. Was that not your excuse? So if today another government comes
and there is
this trade war between China and USA and other Africa and other European nations, and that particular thing is affecting us to gain. And you say we shouldn't take credit for it. You took credit for your poor performance regarding the war between Russia and Ukraine. We have come, thanks be to God, we are a lucky government. Donald Trump
you are lucky government.
Yes, they were so unlucky.
So you're trying to say that you have
their sins were just too much,
but rather you are benefiting from the trade war?
Even the truthfulness of an effective leader, and then the transparency to win even the confidence of investors that no, this finance minister is a disciplined finance minister. He's not recklessly spending. What they did in their first 120 days was to pay like judgment debt to people like Untumi. $1 billion judgment debt. They were paying money, spending money, raising bonds here and there. Bonds that up to today we couldn't even explain. Has Atu raised any euro bond to that magnitude yet? So the decisions he's taking, even he himself is applauding him in his heart. That, oh, this finance minister is very disciplined. He's not reckless. He's not overspending. He's not recklessly borrowing because his bank is...
He's not even spending.
He's spending. We spend our ITF.
No, and let's not forget that the same global situation in which we find
What have you done that you have spent?
We have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Nigeria, we have Togo, we have Burkina Faso, we have Mali.
It's because those countries also trade in dollars. It's because they're all trading. That's why I said that
why is their currency also not growing the same with rate?
Almost all the countries are growing.
So on that,
Almost all the countries are growing. Check all the African countries. Check Nigeria.
How are they performing?
Gentlemen,
They are performing good as well.
How is Nigeria performing?
Nigeria's dollar to the naira is poor.
all right, let's read a few.
crying already.
Gentlemen, I want to read a few comments. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, Madam, and to your guests. Madam, the appreciation of the city is not by luck, not by the gods, nor black magic, but we have decided to talk our destiny into our own hands, or take our destiny into our own hands, and everyone can now see it clear. NDC under President Mahama is not playing politics by mouth, and it's not about lies, but leadership and commitment, and having the people at heart and feeling their pains and suffering. Indeed, Ghanaians actually made the right choice, and that is the result we are going to benefit. My regards to the MP for Myong, Alhaji Misbah, and the DC as well. Good morning. Yes, President Mahama and his NDC government, or his NDC party in government, have really done what the MPP couldn't do in 8 years. But they are able to do it in 5 months. Amazing. However, my problem is that the system is not responding to the efforts and achievements made so far. Please ensure that the law enforcement authorities work hard to continue your good governance. Let's all feel the impact chalked in our pockets anytime we make a purchase. Continue your research and agenda from Moses Accra. All right. So I'll read this one. We'll cross over pretty shortly to Kantamanto, where KMJ is on standby speaking with traders on how the cedi appreciation is actually affecting the market. Before that, let me read just this one and then we cross over. Good morning, host. The cedi stability is not by accident or by chance, but due to fiscal discipline and prudent management, nor due to a trade war. Why are SA, that's South Africa, Rand and Naira, nose diving in spite of the trade war? We had gold for oil, yet Ghana was HIPIC and bankrupt under NPP. After looting ECG containers and crippling the energy sector, they want government to fix the crisis they created for 8 years. NPP should keep quiet and allow NDC to fix the economy or their economic mess. All right, let's cross over to KMJ at Kantamanto. As we wait to cross over, let me quickly read a few that has come in as well. Master Brahman Tuna Sola Kalba. Good morning, beautiful. In fact, Afenya cannot stop marking Atu because Atu is just forcing with the cities. The MPP cannot believe what is going on in Ghana today. They started by saying the gains are due to America and China trade war, forgetting that under their era, Ghanaians suffered because of Russia-Ukraine war, and today the war is still going. We are seeing reduction in prices. All right, Meshach Ashanti at Amasaman says, hey, in fact, wonder shall never end. Did I hear Chairman Wuntumi crying and shouting like a baby? Was he not the same person who was bragging just a few months ago that nobody can arrest him in this country? So why is he crying now? He better keep quiet and suffer. We warned them, but they did not listen. They are now paying back the wrongs they did in the past, so they should keep quiet and face the consequences, and no amount of crying will stop the government from doing the right thing. Wonko dia, wonko fe, Meshach Asante says. So, good morning to you and the panelists. The performance of the Ghana cedi against the US dollar is a key factor in shaping the business environment in Ghana. When the Ghana cedi performs well against the US dollar, local businesses and firms are able to thrive and grow. Therefore, it's essential for policymakers and business leaders to monitor and manage the exchange rate effectively to ensure a favorable business environment for all stakeholders involved. Aaron Bebako Kokomisa. Akonsi Garba from Tamale says, good morning, Roslyn. If the NDC administration is claiming ownership of the appreciation of the cedi, which is not true, Ghanaians should leave them. And if the cedi begins to depreciate against the dollar, the administration should take responsibility for that. In any case, Ghanaians are waiting for the implementation of the 24-hour economy policy for 133 to take off. My regard to Al-Haji, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Roslyn, the MPP has done nothing to be praised. It's good governance of the NDC that is putting the dollar in check and nothing else. Hashtag oral must work. Moast inside Asatere Alembele. Al Hassan Cisse from Zeno Central says that, good morning to everyone. The hard truth is that the MPP wants us to blame the government of all the negative things that are currently happening in the country, like Alamse, bad roads, but all the positive things that are currently happening, the credit should be given to the past administration, like the appreciation of the cedi, the fuel prices reduction at the pumps, and a reduction of the lorry fares. Is it that the past government was selling the gold and sharing the money among themselves, and the money was not coming to the coffers of the country? I believe that effective governance is doing the magic. All right. Quite interesting comments coming in. Good morning, Roslyn, and your panelists. I'm Big Alasko from Garu Tempani. And my greetings to all the youth in Tempani constituency. The appreciation of the city is as a result of good governance, investors' confidence, and the humility shown by President himself, and no corrupt issues reported yet. The doomsayers will not see the light of day. Let's help the government to succeed. Sami Bwachi Asaman Kesi is also sending in his message, and he says that in light of the dollar exchange rate reaching 11 cities and its worldwide repercussions, what strategic initiatives has the government undertaken to reap benefits from this phenomenon? Concurrently, the escalating prices of commodities, including cement at 150 Ghana cedis and skyrocketing food costs, demand urgent attention. Are you sure cement is still 150? Sami Bwachi? Because I think somewhere last week, people who were buying cement were saying that cement prices had dropped anyway. I'm yet to find out though. But
the cement that you are buying.
Yeah, okay.
Gas is still 125.
Gas is 125. Okay.
42. The 32 is 110.
Okay, so but he's saying 150.
But at least
it depends on the cement you are buying.
Okay, but
you can't even
said they were getting
power cents, so they're 100 Ghana.
Yeah,
it
some
depends
said
on the
they got
cement
it
you are
at
buying.
80 Ghana as well.
80 Ghana.
Yes, last week somebody was saying
is now 83.
It's 83. Okay,
Diamond cement.
Yes, so you see, so it
depends on the cement.
Anyway, all right.
And that's
so
one thing that we have.
He says that Ablakwa has surfaced wherein he vowed to resign if any government appointee were to hire a private jet. Now that this has transpired, will he honor his commitment? Best regards to Thomas Ohene Bwachi, UK branch organizer. All right, one last message. I am crossing over to Kantamanto like I promised earlier. We need to hear from the traders what they think about the city appreciation. Good morning. Let me take this opportunity to wish Honorable Eben well. He's really touching lives and may God bless him. Daniel Aboso Kai. He continues to say, in fact, Nanayao has fantastic ideas. The MPP, we have the men. Nanayao should return to this party. After all, we have the prodigal son in the Bible. The government is doing well, but let's not forget about also to give credit to the previous government of the introduction of the gold for oil. Daniel Abosokai. All right, so we're going, since we just left Abosokai, let's cross over to Kantamanto where KMJ is on standby.
And it's Money Making Monday here on Prime Morning, and this is what you'll be experiencing every Monday. We'll try as much as possible to step out and ask the people what exactly the situation is. Now, waking up in the morning knowing very well that you're definitely going to be okay on the market. Now you're realizing that the dollar to the city is appreciating, the dollar is depreciating, but is that what the people are feeling in their pockets? That's the conversation we're bringing to you this morning here on Prime Morning. My name is KMJ. I'm here at Kantamanto. Now, you remember that last week, the AMA decided to decongest this place. The situation is not the same as we saw it last week. What is causing this problem? We'll be finding out from some of the traders over here and see if indeed they are ready and willing to move away from this place or not. And also, we got to find out from them if they understand what it means for the city to be appreciating in terms of how they feel it in their pocket. I'm here with this woman over here. She's been lamenting about so many many issues, but I'll try and get a mind to speak to me on a money-making mandate like this. Although, good morning, Wed. Saying you good? Okay, Kasan fra.
China me coming.
It's Yankachi. Anopa, sorry, I will cast a old bag, Jumano. Now, when him say Oba, Ubenyisika, first of all, and then another Wajima, I say, a negativity say when you can watching.
Oh, minim semenyeska. But say no, the Ghana no, and Yamane corner, I buy so $80 so. Fine. But say no, ye Jumano, what $1 and then maybe say ye fair, ye GN 6 CD. But maybe I me 5 CD.
It's not reflected in the transport sector.
Yeah, be okay. But there may buying say, company for na mana, omoko kwanso kofani ma bane China for na, omoko fani ma ne de prayer no, omoko stores akesi anim. No money China for ne nkekasa because ye kwa ne ma no monte so de ebo ne tia ne tie. It's
who delete de na oto ansa.
Me ton paboa, ahani na ye mpaboa.
E man paboa.
E man paboa na ye ton. Eti ye sra ban say abonten fe ni we na o matete 5 cedi ne was 2 cedi ne 50 pesos ne de. Okay, but me why na ne emrofo ne ho no. Omo kra niema ne de niema ne ba no enti se yate dollar ne so de ya yesra omo se e ma ne nya se fe na 550 pesos na ye free so no omo nko omo ankasa ne ma no omo kofa niema ne ba na ankasa ne ho no ne yenso so no customers ho no ba yenso so yatimi ayede yenso yatimi agum na eja yenso ye pe kakra hye ma ne yatimi e na ekwa no no
the AM for so person
yeah me pa cho me gina kwan ni mu biton ade ye nina eye but e for baby won so aha ye nkakla oh eti ye slese onka omo ma ye chance ka no so ya no ma so ne manim obi ba na se ya enso so mo nina mu giska o omo giska eti ye slese omo hu ya mabo no mo consider na na ma no yanya ya ye hu ma ya ye hu ma obi wo ho ne be ma na tie so ba na tua dan ka on na hye nkola wa nkofie nkola ni ni di enti yes ban say enya fe na ya use 50 pesos no na be bo aye omo nkasa nko company ne office China for no mo de niema ne breye me ye to no mo nkasa na niema ne mla from maye na yenso so ye kwa yenso mo ba because first hell ne etimi de 40 cities and 75 cities yeah and 75 80
it's no na ache anase na nsenya na
me fa ne said na nsenya mo na sa de ni pega kwa osolo e say slip said that from
dollar no cedi ne so ya ade o
mane ba sa stores akese ye nya kofa ne ma ne wo mu no e ho no na ye main point ma yen okwa ho no omo kasa ade wo se digise ade wo se digise yenso ye ko nenso ye ba ne so 5 cedi ne betim de atoso yenso betim de atoso eti ama ye bojo afo na de hye nkola no yenso ye ba ye nya bi oh ti esra ban no 50 pesos ne de anya ye hye but on ko ba bia ye fa ne ma ne je no mo hu ye mobo no mo nye na abaye fo no nso no aba ekwan ni mu de omo ye ne de eboa ye ne na me gina kwan ni mu bi eye but omo ma ye ayi kakra oh omo ma ye
omo so say omo mama munya betre odo munya betre ya kama sama mama munya betre ye nte nana ya kama sama mama munya betre ye nte nti ye kan mako se na be ya so I'm here at Kantamanto and they are making me understand that so this place, the entire place is called China House, and they're making me understand that the place where they pick the items from, where they come to sell on the street, is where the problem is. So if the city is doing well, the government is supposed to ensure that those people who sell, especially the Chinese who bring all these goods, are able to reduce the thing. So when they buy from them, they can also reduce for the people to also buy it and the price that they need to buy it from. Now, okay, okay, also ton there.
Me pacho me ton paboa wa hasi.
Also ton man paboa.
Me pacho ye problem pa ne say aha no embi mu wo ye chi ene ye wo say mu see your Quamu, Mumma, baby, see a better one, dear. And see, yes, a barney say, almost say by any Pamuya, dear. And you will see your Quamu, dear, and you almost allow your maha for now for the supreme and yet they don't go back. It's yes, so I'm a day. Yes, I can't tamper boy, I said I want to say. And to see your Quamu, dear, and your mappa be my and Crasso of Fiantisadia. Like one of them, America can never be our dear. Yes, your church office, Yashankwala, and yes, I am not by Yabasa. Yet you told the call, so I can say you're comfort. Your best ever yard in Tabani Boye. Yes, yes,
Abaya markets, Mamma Mubeko.
What's I am market?
Yabeko,
I see on ye day. On ye, and to say any day. And to be a 2 1 was I a day. Oshamaye. So what am I say? For Muhano, all to me, Pamuya say, and Sako to say, easy, my Abayas Nemu. Since I would now be Tomabako, so would this Tapono. Or be Tomabako, so Hanaji. Nintino, or be Sako Jilo, and or the year Juma. And to can imagine so Pamus on what if you love there's cabin or the Betiaka. Into yes, Rabbi. Oh, we are
Obiabaka, Samamima Bemabako Sato.
I Hanra or my Pamiani dear. Yes, I say, I buy him and aim for motion. Now, I have no first name or my time. Yeah, but 3:30. 3:30 no. Na kebia ho 3:30 ni ahye upon 9 o'clock. Enti na say yeso ebenya kakra na hada ho. But say no omatue nyina free ha say. E na no de yesa ban say ko mo yen na nka time na ye yesre no say ka ye ba bia 4 o'clock mpa. Omo ba yen hye no ka ha no ya makwan bebre. Ye betwa kwachiri. Wahu by 9 no Naka, yes, we are not Kakade.
It's a mayor no canina. Was it? Okay, so Mamma 24-hour in a Senabaya, with Nuba, Ebenusbeko, or say, be crowned my block a quino. Maybe 2 days, no, my so canine.
And yes, sir, so say, it's all my Pamobia. And right now, say, Nipaso area school banner, yet Dawson, Obia area school, and I gave it into Mobia my day. And yet, it's in your high about yet to go Bocrono, yet to be a trade and a Biagilo, a Biagilo, and alone a dear Juma. The Soga Goofy. Now, Pamia alone, you're better than yet. Baby, come from it's the answer Ghana by the same. On my time. I am much 4 o'clock near bar. Yes, you are not 9 o'clock. Near packet, near Codition Yakade, I could pay a bush. Let alone see it.
Now, as some compensation to be understand. So we're still trying to understand what it means to be selling in the middle of the road, and also some of the things that they believe that if it's done, they'll be able to also sell the things to the other to people who come to buy it cheaper. They mean that we have to go to the government has to speak to the Chinese and those people who bring the goods that they go to pick from them and sell, and if they are able to reduce it, they will also let the people feel it in their pocket. And they are also concerned about the government's decision, the AMA's decision to take them off the streets, and these are some of the concerns that they are sharing with us. Now, Yanka, another issue, I mean, if you say Ebiano so bit me ashe you say a higher finti and a bansi move free send a bay a bit mama akra aye clean momo to adia ha say how amudi ahani no and your problem in tia bansu feel say some mundi ahani dia na some sanjina kwam na mo prevent other people so there and the na mo free kwan no
ya pa cho yan ha no already nankasa no aha nankasa no ya wo bi oprapra ha ya tua ne Canada enti ya
na mo tua na ba ne
ya tua ne kama ne pra anytime bi obagi scan no pa bia me ya tua enti ha no ya we pa yankasa kura to da na ha ya fie ya to me fa pra ya pra anopa ya ba yankasa ya fa pra ya kura ya den ya pra enti ya sra man so ma ya kwa kakra
o ya private person as a abana man
o ya
private man mutua
ya ne tua ne ka nya man tua ne ka and answer kura ya member na so sen kom be ma ye on ba bagi fence bola fee aka take it no ya jeso ya press so on ya den on fa mra ya betua efisen efini ya ne ye enti betuma tua enti ya sra man se pa ne chow se ka fin kuto dia onto muda ne ya be bibia ya ready se betua bola ka ya ready se betua bibia on pesa mo di bia enti se ne no so mo ma ya nse dwa de ho nya se so mo meti ticket ma ye on mo ticket ya tua so mo ma ya nse dwa and ya ntia
so now you so ticket
ma ye ya ticket
and mo ina ma tua ticket
ya tua ticket ne and ya ticket ma ye so mo ma ya nse dwa ya ho tire ye loan ya de ya dwuma obo ani choje kitwe
so okay all right okay so this is what you're saying right now. This is the tickets that they pay every day, and You can take a look at it. This one is 26th May 2025. So this is 25th May 2025. So they don't understand why the government said, or the mayor says, they should leave the street, yet they're still paying for these tickets by selling by the roadside, and that's what they don't understand. So if you're not allowing me to sell and you want me moved from this place, why are you still giving me the tickets?
Ticket went to ya. Almost easy one pabwa. Copy my time. Over to you, said to Sidino.
Mebao, it's a young country. Say, Messi, me and Yajuma will have you.
Mepacha, catch on with me. Bobet went to ya. Yankuba, Mobakacha, so your back was here. No, I don't pabwa. Copy my time about to ya to Sidino and Sana. Won't you to Sidino from Pabwa and for your slabang? Yet to a kitan Kola Fepa. Ya, my Sansia Bemma. What you say, and Pabona de Utia, or my Jeff Uti. And then about the saw by 7 minutes ago, no found and 1 minute ago, but to the yes soon. Yes, Slaban, Yan, to a banamano, Yapanacho, only a mobile, the eye your banning Bama, then you actually am with you at him. And yes, Slaban, Sabanaka Kuyakman, or Santia Nubia, or Jaya, baby uncle, and Sabanaka Samwa.
Okay, we're still here, Money Making Monday. We're finding out from people how they are making money. If you wake up in the morning and you're stepping out to go to work, what is the energy that you carry to work? Do you think that you're going to come back home at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. with money in your pocket, or you're going to come without money? You've got kids, you've got people you need to take care of and all of that. So Money Making Monday is always finding out what people are doing to make money in your pocket. And today we're looking at the city, which is appreciating so much as against the dollar. But is that reflecting in the pocket of the people? And that's the conversation we're having here. And we're also adding up the conversation of the decongestion exercise. And, last week we started this exercise. They are back to the street again, and their concerns are that they don't have anywhere to go. And also, these people still pay monies to the AMA. So if you're collecting money from me, why are you taking me off the street? Sir, you work with Metro, or you are just wearing the t-shirt?
I'm working with Metro Mass.
You work with Metro Mass. So it means that transport, yes. In terms of fare, what are we saying? The city is doing well. The people are crying. Reduce the fares. The GPRT should come to their aid and all that. What are we doing?
Oh, as for me, now how the government is doing I like it.
Okay.
I like NDC, but I know that I'm support any party. I like the way you reduce the price of the dollar, and then right now the loan fare is coming down now. So, as government are doing now, I like it. And then we are crying for the women that are selling. And then everybody is working. We are crying for them. Even though if they come market now, Abaye, they say now Abaye come. If Abaye come collect their things. And then they collect the money from them before they release their thing for them. But it's not fair. But as for Abaye, they say claim them for the roadside, and they allow them to sell. Not that you see their things and collect the money from them before you give that. It's too bad. So the people are working for the whole sun. How a day? How many things they can sell it? How many things they can sell in a day? Maybe if you are going to a house, maybe you cannot get.
When the government says they are doing this for their own benefits, there are a lot of things that they can do for them to ensure that the place is regulated. You think that government doesn't have a case in this?
Oh, good. As the government are doing it good. As for me, I like it. Maybe somebody didn't like it, but as for me, I like it. As they are doing these things, it's 100%. At us now, look, this road, if you are going, you are free.
Yeah.
People are selling, come to the roadside. If the bus is coming or the car is coming, you are not getting anywhere to stand. You see, if accident happen now, they are going to say that government is not do the work well. Yeah. It's not fair. But as for me, it's 100%.
Okay. As for him, it's 100%. He agrees with what the government intends to do. But also, the caveat is this. If government is deciding to move them off the street, what is your alternative? That is the question everybody is asking. And these women selling over here, under normal circumstances, you would find them somewhere in the streets. Now they've moved back a bit, but they're still asking them to go back a bit further. And that's where the conversation is right now. But it's Money Making Monday here on Prime Morning. And I'm here, Kantamanto, interacting with with the women over here. We're going to come back again and continue with the conversation. Do stay.
Thank you so much, KMJ, for that. Of course, the market women and men are not too happy with the AMA. They are taking their money, but they again don't want them to sell in those areas. And not just that, but the city's appreciation is not really reflecting in the market like it should reflect. And of course, my guests in the studio had a few comments they were making, so I'll quickly go to them and take their comments on it. Honorable Fuseni, you were actually saying that there should be certain measures that you have to put in place so that we can actually see it reflects in the market.
I think the point of humanity has to come to play here. At least we know that with the dollar going down and the cedi appreciating, at least it's commensurate to the rates at the ports. So if we were in need of about 300,000 Ghana cedis to clear maybe a 20-footer container from maybe China or anywhere, now it will go down. And once the rates at the port start going down, it should affect prices of things imported as well. So I think brothers and sisters in, I'm from Ashanti, so let me use Ashanti so well. Edum, PZ, KJTR, at least they should start, let's start feeling that. I see some of them individually taking the initiative and saying, listen, they call it the bluff of some of their union heads and say, listen, you are not being fair. I did this particular import at this particular time. It came at this time when the dollar was down. So why don't you want to increase? And you keep saying, oh, I've brought old stock, I'm selling old stock. No, that is not fair.
It's not fair.
I think the Ministry of Trade should step in now. This enforcement, Ghanaians will accept because it's not fair. Transport operators.
You know the woman who spoke, she said she used to pay 6 cedis. Now she's paying 5 cedis, but it's supposed to be 4 cedis, 50 pesos.
15 pesos. You see, so even some of them, the worst thing in Accra that I've seen, and then some parts of Kumasi, I know my brother, the KMA mayor, Zuba, is doing something about it today. I've heard that he's called a stakeholder meeting to that. The AMA boss should also try to enforce that. And all the other MCs within the metropolis. That drivers will actually pick you from, let's say, Cycle, and say, oh, we are going to Odoko. When you get to Odoko, you get down. The moment you get down, then they will start, oh, Ablekuma, Ablekuma, Ablekuma. Who does that? You are going to Ashama, they will take you, oh, motorway overpass, motorway overpass.
Oh, said the cameraman no more fans.
Let me go to Odoko. Unfortunately, time is on.
You see, our major problem is how we regulate our prices. That's a major problem. And that's the headache of the Ministry of Trade. Not this present administration, but ever since. And what they will tell you, we have old stock. You're in tough for So we are going by the old price. But at the end of the day, prices has been reduced. If we are to regulate it well, but I had opportunity to meet somebody. She is in trading, she buys foodstuffs. And because of the price reduction, she has to call the one who brought the things to her. Now look, now when you go to the market, I bought this rice from you at 10 cedis. Now you go to the market, the price is now 8 cedis. I can no longer sell it at 10 cedis because I'll be at the loss. So you either come and let's negotiate and reduce it for me. Other than that, come for your items.
Good.
That's the only option that she has. Other than that, I'll not go and buy from her at 10 cedis. I'll rather go out and go and buy it at 8 cedis because it's now 8 cedis. Because there's no any measure to regulate it. Everybody, and in this country, that's the problem that everybody gives his own prices. I heard someone, in fact, your sister station saying that they'll be going to Abosokan to go and buy shocks because for some time now they have problems with their car. So they are expecting that the prices will be reduced. For me, I think that if we have been able to put measures in place, it will really help us. I also heard the GPRTU I think they are secretary or something, saying that if they refuse to reduce their price, the fare by 15%, then they will just arrest you. I mean, we need to deal with some
good AG. How to start doing something
measures that will, I mean, it will help. Then the last on the issue of this congestion in Accra. Last week I said it. If I came here, KJ was here. KMJ was here, and I told him that look, I'm giving my brother Alute up to 31st of December, 2025. He can't go beyond 2025 or the work that he wanted to do there, because the political will not permit him to go beyond 2025. In fact, Saturday, when you go to Cocoa Board area to Katamanto, it's nuisance.
They've all come back.
And honestly, after that, I've been talking about it almost all the time, because me, hardly do I pass. Look, if you ask me to come for money at Cocoa Board or the NIB there, I would prefer to send a motor rider to go. But for me to drive to that place, Central Police Station, if you have a case there and you call me, I won't go.
So what can you do now? I have barely...
The problem, that's why I said, look, the political will is the problem of where we are today as Ghanaians.
All right, so
because when you are able to... You do Sunday markets. Okay. When you do Sunday markets, what happens Monday to Saturday?
Right.
You don't... And that's why I'm saying that I said, if my brother go beyond 31st December, 2025, then I know that we'll be able to.
All right,
but because I know from January to December next year, there's going to be branch election, constituency election, regional election, national election, you can't go beyond that.
All right, Nana.
We think Ghana first, we don't think politics first.
Are we ready to move Ghana from where we are? If we are, then we should be able to take the bull by the horn. All right? I believe that in as much as we do not practice price control, all of these private entities operate under a particular body. I do not think there is any truck vehicle that can operate in our cities without the permission of the GPRTU. They will take you out of the streets. And so if indeed the GPRTU executive want to help Ghanaians at this moment, this is where they have to crack the whip to deal with their drivers according to their own laws. You understand me? If they are doing the short to be able to get, that's how they call it, short. If they are doing that to be able to get more money, the GPRTU would have to push tax the force out there to deal with those drivers. They should ground the cars, the trotros that are involving themselves in these short. And I believe these markets, you cannot operate in any market in Ghana when you do not belong to a group. They have market queens. They have market leaders. They all meet. And that is how some of them, they price their goods and products. So if these market queens want us to actually hail them as indeed being market leaders and helping government and Ghanaians, then they should be seen as doing the right thing.
Okay.
Rosalind, we can actually improve this economy if government does its part and we as individual citizens also do our part. Until then, where we are, we will not be able to move.
All right, Nana, thank you so much. I'm very grateful. And gentlemen, I want to say a very big thank you for making time with us this morning. A big thank you to you, Honorable Fuseni Donko, for making time. Thank you, Honorable Ebenezer Nate. And thank you, Nana Yao. Thank you so much.